All right, welcome to the Eric Tries Too Hard podcast, episode 80 and change. I've completely lost count at this point. We got a couple of comics today. The first one who's joined us is Ben. How's it going, dude?
Good. How are you doing?
I guess Ben Morrison. I should say your whole name.
If that's, I don't know if I can be called a comic, but thank you.
That's true. You know what? I forget that. So you are a writer, correct?
I'm whatever. I don't like to be labeled. How about that?
So I have this thing. Morgan has just joined us. How's it going, dude?
Hey, how's it going, man?
All right, sweet. Morgan is a Baltimore stand-up comic. Ben is, you guys don't know each other. Ben is a writer out in You're in LA, right?
I just moved back to Wisconsin now. I'm all
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay. So, well, Ben, as you had mentioned when I was asking, like, are you a writer, you're a comic, and you're kind of like, I don't know. Well, yeah. Like, that's actually a really good sign I've found of artists, true artists, who they don't want to call themselves what they do until they're like at a really high level of doing it, which I totally respect. There's so many people who will very quickly go, like, they'll do like 3 open mics and they'll go, I'm a comic and you're a civilian. The end. Like, it's like,
No,
all right.
I don't like to call myself a stand-up comedian until I make it like a career. Like until I pay an actual bill with it, then I can't call myself a stand-up comedian until I like have I just don't want to do that because then not only does it make me feel weird, like I don't mind it, but it just makes everybody else look at you go, well, I've never heard of you before. I've never seen you on anything. Like, what is this guy from, man?
Most people I've met who are quick to say I'm a writer, you say, like, what have you written? And they're like, oh, nothing since, a few years ago in college I wrote a little,
I wrote some slam poetry.
Okay, for sure, yeah. Quick
stuff.
That's great. Well, okay, so Ben, I want to, so could you give us a little backstory? Like, so how long were you in LA? What were you doing there? And what prompted you to move back?
Oh, geez. Okay, so I think the reason I moved out to LA is just watching TV shows and knowing I wanted to write for TV. And I think it was just I didn't really know anything around. In the Midwest, it's basically just working for the news is the only media outlet you get. And so I just wanted to go try it out and go out to LA, and I am very blessed to have 2 sisters who live out there and one who works, kind of in the television industry. So it was a very real thing that I could do because it was very scary. It's not something. Yeah. I definitely didn't just say, yeah, I'm going to go do it. It was more like, oh my gosh, and I had pretty much nowhere else to be. I was working at like a retail job at Sears that I hated. So
sounds about right.
Do that. So yeah. But I feel like I'm talking too much, so...
No, see, this I love... Oh, man. You know what? You can call yourself a writer. The amount of... listen, please just put the camera on someone else for a minute. I just,
yeah.
I'll give you some jokes on cards. Just
Because I know, once I hear this back, I know my voice is very monotone, and I know it's not very fun to listen to, so I'm like, oh, jeez. So,
I love... Dude, I always love the, people who are in comedy, you either have your extroverts... or your introverts, and it is nothing in between. You have your guys who are very... I think you two, by the way, are a good example of that. Because Morgan, I feel like you're like me. If someone gives you a chance to talk, you're just taking that chance. You're not thinking about it. You're just like, I'm just going to go for it.
But if somebody else is kind of talking, like I might look for an entrance to the freeway if like there's an opportunity for a joke.
Yeah.
But usually when the spotlight's not on me, I get to go, all right, whatever.
Yeah, dude, that's what... I host a bunch of podcasts, but I'm also on one where I'm just a panelist. Holy shit, do I love the panel. You just get to sit there and snipe jokes. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah. That's like all I do is, they say, well, what's your idea on this? I don't give a shit. I'm fucking making jokes about it. That's what you guys wanted me here for, right? I don't really...
Yeah, I'm just so envious of all of my guests that they get to do that. No, dude, I just did an hour-and-a-half podcast about Kanye West. And that's rubbing off because there's actually Kanye during a live performance. He once said, it's like mid-song during an instrumental break. He goes, my biggest regret in life is that I'll never get to see myself perform."
Yep. Right. You're like, okay.
Kanye, you should do like a part 2 just on the Kardashians. Like that right there is. Well, they're their own punchline at this point. Like, they're an easy target.
Well, the podcast was we review records that we really like, and Dark Beautiful Twisted Fantasy is one of my favorite records of all time. So we just talked about it from start to finish for like an hour and a half, and we had plenty of Kardashian talk in there as well. We had one guy on the podcast theorized that Kim Kardashian or his. If Dark Twisted Fantasy is really an allegory about Kanye West's struggles as a celebrity and in the music business, his marriage to Kim Kardashian would have been an ironic giving up. It's just like, I win. You win, America. Celebrity, you win. I'm going to do it. You win.
There you go.
That's the thing. I think, honestly, I'm not trying to be the hater from the sidelines, but honestly, I think really the relationship's more of a publicity stunt than anything. Sorry, but I don't know. I think that's how it goes.
I don't think you're offending anyone by saying that, except for maybe Northwest. What's up, Ben?
Yeah.
I said the baby's like their walking advertisement or something. It's all grand.
Yeah.
So Ben,
watch that baby actually grow up to have talent.
I was gonna say it'll be like the inverse of Will Smith's kids.
Yeah, exactly. Like them having talent is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kanye West. I think once you get past his delusions of grandeur and his Napoleon complex, once you get past that, then really he has some good raps. He has some good stuff.
I love him. I love every bit about him. I don't give a shit about a controversy. I love Kanye West.
I thought that list was going to go on for a while. You know, once you get past this and this, you know.
You jump the hurdles. It's,
you know,
you have to,
undermining real bravery and heroism.
You basically,
not saying that other people aren't brave, but
you basically have to like run a triathlon before you get to where you can be a fan, which is actually I think what Caitlyn Jenner did, right? Ran that triathlon and just got to the point. It's like, okay,
I'm not
got the gold medal. Now you just want a sex change. Exactly, you don't need to. But did she get the golden medal?
So here's okay.
Is it politically incorrect if at the time Caitlyn was Bruce to call her him? Or
so that's actually a very good point. That's
a
a very good point. It's not politically correct too because it's more like. But here's what's not frustrating. Here's what's confusing for me is that my favorite band, one of my like top 2 favorite bands growing up. Is as if my other favorite band is listening to this and is going to get offended if I don't say that. Is a band called Against Me. I've been listening to them since I was 15 years old, so going on about 14 years now. I've been listening to them since they were playing basement shows. Their singer came out as transgender a few years ago. This is someone who, as a male, I had met this person like a dozen times, had conversations, exchanged emails, and so now in my memories are weird because I want to say like, this person has been such a huge influence in my life, and so now that it's a she, I always just, by force of habit, associate the past memories of he. And so to me, it was just like, in my head, it's she was a he named Tom for that period of time, and then going forward is a woman named Laura. So that's kind of like how I separate it, but it's absolutely not PC to do it, which is kind of a, I don't know, we're getting into a weird area.
I'm trying to go by the timeline. I don't know. It's like, you know, I don't know. In Star Wars, you say Anakin or Darth Vader. He wasn't always Darth. You want to say Anakin.
Holy shit. I'm sorry, but I think you just came up with a fantastic premise. Social justice warrior Star Wars, where Darth Vader is all just like, listen, I know that I was Anakin, but that's really offensive to me. It's it's really problematic that everyone keeps calling me Anakin. Annie,
I'm
it
Darth
really triggers
at
me.
heart. My name is Vader.
At robotic heart, my name is Vader.
If I could be Vader now, who's to say I couldn't be Vader then?
I was always Vader. You guys just didn't. It wasn't socially acceptable, so I had to keep it inside.
Wow, no. Now we're gonna have to do the same thing with like Poke. No, now we're gonna.
Ben cannot get a word in edgewise. Ben, talk. Sorry.
I love it. My mind's being blown. It's way ahead of its time. I like that.
Now they're gonna have to do the same thing with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! With this is now my final form and shit like that. Yeah, see? Now look what you started.
There's a good idea. Oh my god.
Some serious shit.
Oh my god.
Well, what's the one with like Rayumon or whatever? What's that one called?
Rayumon. I was never a big Pokemon.
Yeah, there you go. I'm thinking of. I guess Pokemon.
I don't know anything that everybody. I only know the stuff everybody knows. I'm not saying I dislike it. I was just never into it. I was more the comic book guy. If you want to know about the
everyone's going to be listening. Is that why you're saying that?
Yeah.
Sports and guy stuff.
Yeah.
So
you know,
I want to.
I don't want to be the. I know everybody's watching. I can't. I can't.
So okay, so
Take out my retainer.
good solid riffing and yes-anding, everyone. We're doing a great job here. I want to know, Ben, because I've never had you on the podcast before. So you went out to L.A. I still want to keep up with this story about you.
Well, I guess we know each other. That's the thing.
Well, I'm going to talk about that because I also see the football game in the background. I definitely want to get into that later.
Watch a lot of football.
But like, so you went to L.A. and so how long were you in L.A. and what were you doing there?
So I was in LA for about 2 years. Started off just working at a small production company, and what it is, it's a lot of like in-house stuff. Speaking of football, they did commercials with RG3, kind of back when he was the guy to be on commercials. Now, I think I see him a little bit, but he's kind of getting hated on now. Which would be kind of in your area, right?
Yeah, we're not. Oh yeah, I was going to ask Morgan. You a football fan?
I don't dislike football. I'm just not really that big into sports. I don't have anything against it. It's not my thing.
You didn't like Pokemon? You don't like sports?
Yeah, what? If you don't like Pokemon and sports, what do you like?
I saw that.
Turns out I'm not human.
Well, so you are a comedy machine. God, talk about hokey fucking ways to bring somebody on stage. Yeah. The teen heartthrob. Yeah. So the that's what if I can somehow get a publication to refer to me as the teen heartthrob of podcasting, that would make my life. That's the only credit I ever want.
I feel like people who want a nickname never like got a nickname.
Yeah, someone's gonna call
me something. Oh, my bad.
No, good. Always interrupt me. I will always stop.
Yeah, a nickname is something that you can't really give yourself unless it's like a nickname is really just something that happens. Because the more you try to force a nickname, the lamer and cheesier and just all around just fucking.
Well, I should take the time to point out that I don't actually want that nickname. That's not a.
No. But I'm saying, but people who do say, dude, I want to be like the fucking the.
Well, that's not a good nickname. 8 Thes is not.
No, oh god, I want to be the raunchy, angsty nephew of comedy or some shit like that. I don't know. Yeah, like when you try to come up with your own nickname, it really ends up badly.
Well, plus it's kind of that thing where you keep everyone's like what they're hoping for. You know, you keep it low because then you deliver high instead of saying like the greatest comedian on the face of the earth, and then you come out and you're just mediocre. It's like
you're doing fucking knock jokes and
yeah. But if you're like, oh, he's just a guy we met and he talks words, and then they're like, oh wow, he's pretty funny. Like was expecting it.
When comedians talk words, that's when it's just tip top.
Well, it's not jokes; it's actual phrases that mean things. Say an idea with the lack of humor. That's stellar.
What's interesting to me now is I know that when I was really getting into comedy in the early 2000s, it really was all about just jokes. Like you could make a point and that'd be fine, but it really was like you could just be silly and that could be your act. And I thought that I definitely love his first couple records, so I don't want to bash him or anything, but I feel like that kind of reached its pinnacle and jumped the shark with Dane Cook, where he was like, you didn't have to have a point about shit. You could just be a funny dude, a likable funny dude. Yeah. And so after that, I found that like, I don't know, recently I've gotten way more into comedy in the last couple of years because I think what's popular now is it's not enough to just have jokes. It's like it's almost like you need to be interesting and have a point and then also be funny. It's like
you have to be relevant.
Yeah, and comedians it's almost like they're the new philosophers, which I think is a great way
That's
to be.
what I've been saying. I mean, I haven't been saying it to you, but I've been saying it. I changed. I was a theater major. Oh, I still am, but I changed my minor from communications to philosophy because I figured that would give me the edge in comedy if I could kind of put existence in a bind.
Yeah.
Existence is already.
And that's what I think and I got to be honest, that's definitely what made me want to start a podcast because I'm not a stand-up. I think I'm a funny guy at a party, but I'm not a guy who's about to just like. I can maybe write a script or improv and it's fine, but like I know that that's not where my skill set lies in stand-up, And so it was just like once I feel like I can talk about things that are hopefully interesting to some people. And so once I was like, oh shit, I can just like be somewhat interesting and that's enough. That's great. Like I love that.
So that for a party, like what do you define because I thought about this. Like, for a party of, like, 5 or 6 good people I know, like, I can really kill it. But, like, maybe up to, like, 10, I would get a little uncomfortable, you know, because you can't talk to everyone and make all the eye contact. Like, when you're at a party, what is your ideal number there?
Well, I don't even really have a number. To me, it was always growing up. I could make jokes, but like I couldn't make a classroom laugh. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I always got envied those kids who could say something in class and the whole class cracks up, which is it's very similar to a comedy club when you really think about it.
Yeah,
but,
I know it is.
So I was always jealous of that, and this is like the perfect example. I have a master's in psychology. That's what I do for a living. But I have this is the exact moment where I chose psychology over comedy, and it was in 4th grade. I was sitting at a table with 2 of like the girls who were starting to develop early, so they were the popular girls, and it was the 2 of them, me, and this kind of like fat nerdy kid. I love you, Ryan Watson, if you're watching this. You are an awesome person, but you were fat and nerdy. I was skinny and nerdy. It's all good. But like he was like he could make people laugh just from like saying anything. It didn't matter what he said. He could make people laugh. He was just a naturally funny person. I always thought, and this is still 4th grade, I remember there was a perfect moment for a joke, and this happened a number of times. I would whisper it to Ryan and have him say it. And he would tell the joke, and it would kill, whether it was with the 2 girls or the whole class, depending on how loud he said it.
So in 4th grade, he had a ghostwriter.
So that was like, but if I tried to make the joke, nobody would laugh. I'd bomb.
That's better than being that person who makes the joke kind of quietly, and he laughs and then says it louder.
Yeah, I hate that.
Other people.
Oh, I hate that shit.
That's why that Key and Peele sketch, where the other dude makes the joke and then gets a career out of it, is the funniest.
That sketch isn't painful. That sketch isn't funny to me. It's painful because shit like that actually happens.
Yeah, because I do put myself in the position of Jordan in that, where I'm just like, it hurts so bad.
You're like, without me, you would be nothing. So
yeah.
Well, in that moment, in 4th grade, the first time I did that, where I whispered the joke to him, he said it to the 2 girls, and they laughed like crazy, knowing full well that if I said it, they wouldn't laugh. I had a position or a choice there to either go into comedy writing or psychology. My brain went to, that's interesting. I'd like to analyze what in group settings makes people laugh at one person versus another, and how that like status determines the quality of what you're saying as opposed to what you're actually saying. And granted, I didn't have those big words in my head back then, but that's essentially what I went. Yeah, and now I'm realizing I probably fucked up because comedy seems a lot more fun. But
I guess I don't know. I don't. I always looked at it and said, I mean, there was one time I made money this summer doing comedy. It wasn't like
Success!
It wasn't like no, it wasn't even enough to like really pay. It was enough to maybe get me some like new headphones or whatever. Not like some earbuds. It wasn't like it was like a don't spend it all in one place. Here you go, kid.
You got rip-off beats. You got like some Pete's. You got some Pete's.
I got fucking skull candies that are gonna.
You got skull candies? They fall off in your ear.
No, not even that. But like the thing is, it'll go for a while where like if skull candies you have and you go to the gym or you try to do stuff with them, like I'll do chores, I'll mow the lawn with my skull candies in, and then one day, one will be working just fine, the other is fucking like mute. I can't, so I'm walking around with like one right here, and it's awkward. It's getting caught on shit. I can't cut this thing off because that'll fuck this one up. So it's both no. But what happened was I went in. I got $25 for. It was you know the Magoobies new talent showcase.
I have heard of it. I've actually never been to Magoobies, but
okay.
Yeah, keep
well,
going.
I did it twice. First time I didn't get shit, and second time I went and instead of being like 6 to 8 other comics or whatever, there was me and 2 other guys.
Yeah.
And the owner pulled us all 3 of us aside and said, "Hey, look, what we're gonna do is there's no point making you guys compete for this." And I'm thinking to myself, "Are you kidding me? It's just 2 other dudes. I'm not trying to undermine them or underestimate them, but it's like, look, I'd rather compete against 2 other people as opposed to like fucking 6 other people, or 4 other people." And he says, "Well, I'll tell you what. Since the prize is $75 in cash, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you 25. We're gonna give you 25. We're gonna give you 25." And I was like,
sure.
I was like, look, I mean, I'd rather take 25 over nothing. I mean, sometimes all or nothing works, and other times I'm like, look, $75, $25. I'm gonna blow it out my ass one way or the other. It doesn't fucking matter. So
Whether it's Chipotle or no.
Yeah. Whether it's gonna be Chipotle, it's gonna be Taco Bell. Maybe
It's coming out.
I don't know. One way or another, it ain't gonna last. It's not gonna last me through this weekend. So I get there and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, whatever, yeah. But that was really the first time I'd ever gotten paid for it. It wasn't really like a set figure. We're coming in and saying, hey, you can pay for this. It was a prize, or it was kind of more like a handout in this case. But still, it made me think, all right, so that's $25 for a 5-minute set. So that's $5 per minute.
No, don't look at it like that.
I don't know. That's the way I was looking at it, like that. And I was thinking, now I got to go to work later today. I work in a movie theater. I got to work later today. I'm probably going to get maybe less than $10 in 1 hour. So I was thinking to myself, I made it 2 minutes. Going to make it in 2 hours there, and that's kind of what got me going with comedy. I was like, well,
that's good that you saw it as a positive. I was just going to say, I was like, don't compare it because it makes you miserable. Like, there are definitely, like, the amount of nights that I've made, you know, like my band or whatever, there's 5 of us, so we have to split it, but, like, our band has made, like, you know, $500 to $1,000, like, 4 or 5 times a year we can do something like that. Well, keep in mind, I'm 10 years into my music career, and I'm finally actually able to, like, break even, so it takes a long time. But, like, those are always times where it's just, like, when you compare how much money you made in that, like, 4-hour span, you're just like, oh my god, if I could just do this for a living, it would be insane. Yeah, okay, so Ben, I'll ask you this point blank. Do you not want to talk about leaving LA?
Oh, no. No, I can. That's fine.
Yeah? Okay. So from what I understand it, you worked on one of the late shows, right? Take a nice long sip.
Was it bad time to sip coffee? No, I was working on the Late Show with James Corden, and it was coming up on the hiatus break, and honestly, I worked like over 12-hour days plus an hour drive each way, so it was coming in between 14 to 15 hours. And I got married a little over a year ago on July.
Congrats. Nice.
Thanks, guys. I did it. And we're still together. And so I was sitting there, and I saw my wife like a half hour a day tops.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of the point where I got to give. While I was out there, I got to get pointers and give my writings out to the writers that I wanted to meet, and got a lot of good strategies. And I was like, well, the biggest thing I want to do is like comedy writing, and I can do that anywhere. And you know, I can do it at a job where I only have to work 8-9 hours a day instead of 12, 13, 14 hours a day. So, yeah, it just got to be this point where I was like, oh, am I just dragging down, my wife in this situation? Or it's weird because, like, I left the last day, I cried and I hugged, like, a bunch of people. And it was really sad, but at the same time, like, I just knew that I had accomplished everything that I needed to out there, and so this is where I just need to be now, I guess.
Yeah.
So now I'm afraid to achieve anything now because it's like fuck. I can't see my family. I can't see my friends.
Well, like, cause when you're talking about stand-up, like I did stand-up a little bit, and I don't know. I don't find joy in like seeing you guys face to face or even talking to you. It's fun to like make you laugh, just that connection. But like faceless people in the crowd, like I don't really get. I don't care if they laugh or if they don't like it at all. I'm just kind of like stressed over nothing. So I don't like doing like the stand up because when I do it and then like I learned that you're supposed to just retell the same jokes, and I'm not good at that either. So
that's a big thing for me too, is that like I like to create things. I actually had this realization. I was a little fucked up, and I was watching or listening to Patrice O'Neal, my favorite comedian's record, Mr. P, for the millionth time. And I'm sure I've told this story on the podcast before, but I don't think I've said it. I've definitely never said it to you guys. A friend of mine Brad, who also does podcasts with me, he sent me a message. He goes, "Oh, Patrice O'Neal's playing the DC Improv. We should go see it." To which I replied, "We'll catch him next time. I'm busy that night." He died a month later, and that was the show he recorded Mr. P at. and like it hurts so bad to even talk about that.
Yeah.
But like that record is so good, and I could talk about it forever. I'm sure I'll analyze it on some podcast in the future.
I'm gonna listen to it now after you said that. That's just...
Oh yeah, no, it's a beautiful, beautiful album. And if you only have like 5 minutes, if you go on YouTube and find this one track on it called what is it? Is it Kulu? What's the guy's name? Basically, he's doing crowd work. Wait, what?
Cthulhu, like
Yeah, wish that would be hilarious.
Spaghetti monster.
Basically, he goes, Tolu. He's in the crowd. Or in the crowd. He says to the crowd, he's doing crowd work, and he was just about to, not even crowd work, he was going to do a bit. And all he wanted to know was this guy's name in the front row. He was going to do a bit about some race thing, and he wanted to know this black dude's name in the front row. And the dude's name, he says his name is Tolu. And then Patrice goes off for 5 to 8 minutes, ripping on this guy about his name, and basically, after just hearing his name, seeing who's at his table, he does, have you heard it before, Ben?
No, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking exactly what you're saying, though.
Yeah. Well, he basically tells the guy his own life story, and the guy's like, "Yeah."
Oh my
it's one
God.
of the greatest moments I've ever heard. So anyway, so I was listening to that. I was a little fucked up, and I kind of had this realization. Like at the time, I was just in this band. I was always just in a band at a time, trying to make it in music. And I had this realization. I was like, I don't like what I'm doing. I like parts of what I'm doing. But like I feel like I'm not doing what I should be doing, and all of that kind of led to me doing the podcast, to me doing writing, script writing, to me doing blogging, to me doing also and doing like multiple bands and stuff, and all that was triggered in this moment of listening to this record, and a lot of that was just like I didn't like what I don't like is the repetition. I've been in bands forever, but I hate touring. Like I hate playing the same songs over and over again. I like to create.
Make your money, right? Isn't it?
Huh? Wait,
that's
what?
How you kind of make the most money.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way to really make money. Granted, we built up a nice local following, so like all you have to do is put something out, but then you play a show and people come to hear the new stuff and buy the new record, and that's cool. Mm-hmm. But like, but yeah, with touring it was just miserable. And like you said, Ben, about the jokes, telling the same jokes over and over again. The first thought I had was, I want to do stand up, and I always write jokes every time I come up with a joke. I write it down. And but the truth was, it was like I don't want to. I like the idea of writing from stage, but once it's done, I want it to be done, and I want to move on to the next thing. So that's why I love podcasting so much, because we get to just talk and bullshit and crack jokes and rip on each other, and it just gets to exist and be done, and we move on. That said, I also don't think I have what it takes to perfect a joke, and I definitely don't have what it takes to be an onstage performer as a stand-up, which is why that's my easy cop-out by saying I like something else better, which is why just love stand-up but won't do it.
Well, there's...
No, Ben, you go first, and then
No.
Fuck that, I'm sorry.
You guys are too polite. No, Ben, I'm making it happen.
You're like those two at the grocery store where you're trying to get through the aisle. I'm just trying to fucking go. Like, no, you go.
Excuse me, we're juking with each other. Excuse me. No, you go. I'm sorry.
Fuck, why don't we talk at the same time and just see what happens?
Right. Yeah, it becomes this beautiful, beautiful music that we could never get back again. It's like in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they at the end with the music that saves the world and unites everyone through George Carlin's Ghost, no less. So I guess this would be appropriate.
All right, yeah, sure. All right, so my thing is, I like to do open mics now because really I look at it as the unpaid internship of comedy. Where
yeah, that's fair.
You're really gaining experience. You're not really not getting paid for it, but you are networking, and that's really teaching me how to network with other people right there, which is really just as important as getting. I don't want to say getting paid, but that's a big part of. Networking is almost just as big a part of performing as performing is itself. Whereas if you don't talk to people, how the fuck are you gonna know what's going on? Or if you don't say anything to anybody, or if you don't I can't this podcast, for instance, I found through networking. Somebody mentions that Eric Navarro does a podcast.
That made me so happy when you told me that. You have no idea how happy that made me.
You've been networked. That's like the.
We have to understand, like Ben, the place that. Like the main Baltimore open mic is at a place called Sidebar. It's a bar that was, if you watch The Wire, that was in The Wire a whole shit ton. It's a legendary punk bar that my punk bands have played at for the last 10 years. Like I've been there a million times. And it's this like really cool open mic where it's like you show up on any given Monday night in the middle of inner city Baltimore, and there's 50 comics there, or like 40 comics there. It's huge.
And it's not first come, first serve either.
Nope. It's a very structured thing. I went there once to try stand up. Once I was the third person to sign up. I had to leave after being there for 4 hours because over 30 comics went before me.
Oh, yeah.
It's rough. You gotta prove it.
You know the guy, Mark Jordan? Because it's very meritocratic.
I know. Mark had no idea who I was at the time. And at the time, like 3 people who went up were all past guests on my podcast. But next time I go there, we'll see. But like now, I've had about like a dozen of you on this fucking thing.
It's a meritorious thing. It really is, because it's not for like other places. I'm not trying to like talk shit or sling mud, but other places like Zissimo's and High Tops or whatever, and it's more like first come first serve. When you come in, you get this, or you come in here, you do that. But here, and actually High Tops kind of does it the opposite, where if you've never performed there, then you go first.
Oh, okay.
They throw you right under the fucking bus. It happened to me. I've seen it
but
before.
Sidebar is that place where, you're right, it's a meritocracy where it's like if you have paid some dues, you get on, which is why I was saying like it meant so much to me that my name was mentioned anywhere near that open mic night, like to the fact that someone heard about the podcast, which makes me go like, I don't know, it makes me really, really happy about. I just want to belong, and I love all the comics I've met. But Ben, so you were working on the show, you went back home. What are you continuing with comedy writing? Like, what are your next steps? I don't know.
Are you doing anything with your life?
Breathing. That's the key.
Thanks, Mom. I am currently residing in my wife's parents' basement.
Like most of my musician and comedy friends that I know.
Yeah.
That's an upgrade from your mom's. Just remember, that's like
the
penthouse in type way.
I'm just writing a lot. I have a pilot about my life when I was working at a retail store, and then I have a few other things that I'm writing and stuff, and I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. I also make just a lot of videos off random stuff, like how you were talking before, and just like randomly you create things on the fly. So I just try and write that stuff down right now, and then I'm just trying to look for a local job. So
yeah.
I'm just not that interesting for a podcast, I feel like.
Yes, you are. See, you told me this, dude. Oh man, Morgan. So Ben has told me a number of times, like, because I always get people on to do the interviews before we do the group, and he just is like, no, I'm not interesting. You're perfectly interesting, you son of a bitch.
I don't have anything. I'm 26 and I have a wife and a dog. Like, I can't be that interesting. Around and like we get to watch TV, and then she's like, "Will you take out the dog?" And I'm like, "Oh." So that's like, that's the big point. Yeah, that's when I have like conflict in my life. I'm like, "Oh, I'm
be a problem. Take out the dog."
I ran out of poop bags for my dog. Like, there's not a lot going on.
Yeah. So, okay, well, what would be like the craziest thing that's happened at your past working retail that you would write like an episode about, or is that too you don't want to blow anything on this?
Yeah, I don't want to. It's on the verge of selling it and all that. Let's see. So when I first started, basically it's based off like the first month I was there. The first day I got there, they were switching managers, and so like I don't know how you call it. Maybe it's like just the lead salesman. She was in charge of all the other salespeople, and it was at Sears, and it was for like lawn and garden equipment and like tools and stuff that I know nothing about. Like, I'm just if it's anything like super manly, I'm like I'm just not sure what's going on. And so the first day, like, they switch managers. This lead sales lady is like, I'm out of here because she hates the new guy, and so they appointed me to be the lead of it. And I was like, nice. I don't even know how to make a sale. I don't know what I'm talking about. People came in and were like, hey, I need this part for my riding lawnmower. And I was like, I don't know where you find that, or,
Home Depot, maybe?
Home Depot.
I'm like, I would sort people out. I'm like, you know what store actually would try to sell it?
Try Home Depot.
Go anywhere else. I don't want you here.
I would take
That's how I know when people don't want to work retail. They're like, I'm like, hey, do you know where I can find it? I don't know, man. Try Home Depot.
Yeah.
I mean, Office
I would
Depot.
take people on the kiosk on the computer, and we would Google it together, and I'm like, just down the street. And so then there was this older gentleman I worked with, and he's really sweet. And
tell him Ben sent you. When you get there, tell him Ben sent you.
Yeah, I got a special discount. And so there's this older gentleman I worked with, and he told me right off the bat, he's like, you know who you remind me of? You remind me of my dead son, Justin. And so, yeah, like right away, he had, I can't really go into it, but he had just all this crazy memories that would trigger and weird things. And then just like the other, eccentric personalities where it's like, it's just a tiny bit of who they are really. When you write The Office, you just kind of overdo people's personalities, and stuff like that. So there's just all these different moments where I was like, and that happened 2-3 years ago now. That was right before I moved out. So, so I was just like, oh, this would be perfect. Like, because you go into a situation, it's like, let's see, Silicon Valley. Like Thomas Middleditch, I forget his name on the show. He goes in, and all of a sudden, you're being wanted by everyone. Yeah. All of a sudden, everyone wanted me to show them how to sell stuff, and I was like, I honestly, people were asking me for like sawzalls and like different types of tools that I got yelled at so much. What the hell was going on? So I was like, it was weird. I was like, well, this would be great to write about, so I have to live it out for a little bit. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not, like, it was based on commission. I couldn't sell anything, so it was weird. So.
That's interesting. I like that. It's a nice open premise that you can, get a lot of material out of. That's awesome.
I think you could even do that with, like, if you have different characters that work different retail like jobs or whatever. That to me would be funny. Where it's like, I think you can even parody the entertainment business itself if you like have a guy who works at a movie theater. Like, not trying to like.
You're trying to bring yourself into his show.
Yeah, like, not trying to strong arm.
Actually,
you could call him Borgen. That's a good name.
Yeah, Jorgen Julian or something.
Jorgen, you just switch it. I like that.
Exactly. I don't know.
So I was hoping I'm gonna wrap up in a couple of minutes. So before we do plugs, I was hoping Sergio, he is our perpetually late / hungover guest. I guess he was a little too late and too hungover for today's episode. But I was gonna wait for him.
It's Sunday morning, man.
He's a big football fan, and so I wanted to mention how me and Ben met. Ben and I met mock drafting. And Ben, I know you probably know this rule, but the place where we found out about the mock draft is we don't talk about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the first 2 rules of Fight Club. Morgan, it's Morgan. Basically, there's it's not much of a secret, but if you don't know about it, it's a secret. Like fantasy football forum. That is incredible.
Don't worry, I'm lost.
I don't even watch real football. I don't know anything about fantasy football.
Yeah, so you can't come there if you don't watch real football.
There you go. Well, I'm not worried about Morgan finding out. I'm worrying about my dumbass league mates who watch this shit just in case I let things slide.
Okay.
Draft's coming up. Anyway,
I don't know anything about fantasy football.
We met in a fantasy football mock draft.
What month were we mock drafting? Like 3 or 4 months before you even draft, man.
I started mock drafting the day that they came open. It's depressing. A friend of mine from my league, he came over to play some music with me, and he was like, have you done any mock drafts yet? And he was like bragging. He was like, I did like 4 or 5 this week. And I was like, I've been doing it since like March.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days since then.
Yeah, this is not.
That's my favorite thing is when people reveal like, because I'm so scared of revealing how intense like I get into things, and that's my favorite. Like mock drafting, just insane. Like there's a point where like I play a lot of NBA 2K, the video game.
Yeah.
I literally would wake up and play it, and so I had to give it to my wife, and I said, lock this away, put it somewhere where I can see it, because I play it so much, and I just like when people do that. Like, you just don't know how intense people get about stuff, and it's hilarious.
Well, it's like, what's funny is I got into fantasy football because, by the way, I wasn't into football. I got into football through fantasy football because once I had a band that was taking up practically 40 hours a week, plus jobs that were taking 40 to 60 a week, plus I was married, had a house, all that stuff. I was like, I can't play Magic anymore, but I needed something to get Magic the Gathering, by the way, not Magic Tricks. I want to clarify the type of nerd that I am. And I didn't have the time and the energy to like physically go to tournaments. So I was like, what is a strategy game that I can play at home? And I was like, fantasy football seems perfect. Some friends of mine.
Solitaire is a strategy game
Some
at home.
friends of mine, I'm competitive. I gotta beat people. I gotta win money and beat people. But so I had some friends of mine who needed a 12th for their league. Like good friends of mine in the music, who are mostly in the music business. And I was like, yeah, I'll join. I got drunk at our first draft, and I was naming Magic card names instead of football players because I knew it would piss them off. And I drafted a team that was terrible. Everybody got injured. I came in last place. They basically took my money, which is what they were going for.
There you go.
So I used the power of podcasts. I was like, there's got to be some football podcasts. Huh?
So you were the Redskins, right?
Yeah,
No,
well, yeah. Well, what's funny is I got into football. I decided, you know what, I'm going to watch the Baltimore Ravens. And it happened to be 2012. So I am the luckiest fucking football fan. Yeah.
You expected every season now? You're like, oh, so we just go to the Super Bowl? And
this is what we do? Okay,
I don't know anything about football, but I can tell you 2012 is the year the Ravens got lucky. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it was fantastic.
You mean that team that can only beat that one team that can only beat that one team?
It was perfect. It was that postseason was insane. Dude, oh my god. Well, so with fantasy though, the next year I was like, well, I'm into podcasting. There have to be fantasy football podcasts. So I started reading up, listening up, and the next year I won 3 out of all my 3 leagues. I just ran and these are all like one of the leagues, the one with the musicians who got me into be their taco basically was and just take my money. 2 of them write for like major fantasy websites. A couple of them, and all of them are lifelong football fans, lifelong fantasy players, and it was like there was maybe one dude who was close, and everything else was just across the board, and I am so happy about that, and I cannot, now I'm just completely hooked.
can't. The league like you did, Taco won one year, didn't he, too? When they call him in the pilot, it's like, hey, my name's on there.
He won the second year, which was what I did too.
You did. You tacoed him.
Something, yay!
I love that's one of my favorite lines. This is far off in the future, but one of the podcasts I have that I'm recording like a couple of like series of or seasons or however you want to do it is that'll air hopefully this winter is what we're shooting for, where we talk about TV show pilots. And kind of like review it, and like, because I'm obsessed with pilots and I love analyzing them for what they tell for the future of the show, how they're written, like all that stuff, and how
they can be expanded upon, if there's words, there's potential.
And one of them is The League, because that is one of the greatest pilots I think I've ever seen in my life. And they have that line that you were talking about when Taco he's like, hey, what's that? And they're like, that's the fantasy football trophy. And then they all improvise, and he's like, you won this, right? And he goes, yeah, this was in your house for a year.
Yeah, that pilot was groundbreaking. Like,
it was insane.
Now, and there's a lot of shows like it, but when that and Always Sunny came out on FX, like that blew a lot of people.
Yeah. I had a friend who told me to watch Always Sunny based on that pilot forever, and I never did until it got popular. And then I was like, shit, I should have listened.
I think Always Sunny in Philadelphia is one of those shows. I'll kind of go back and forth on it, because for the longest time it's just characters bickering back and forth over.
That's why I like podcasts.
Exactly. I'm just
I'm gonna wrap up a little bit, and now Ben, now we've talked about this, I'm inspired. I'm gonna start messaging people out for the pilot series of podcasts, because I want all my guests to be just comics, to go on only on shows that they love. I don't even know why I'm saying this on air. This was more of a one-on-one conversation or a two-on-one conversation later. Anyway, that's how this podcast works. So, give me your plugs, guys, and then we'll close out. So Morgan first, and then Ben.
Oh. All right. Yeah, so Morgan Julian, I'm going to be at the Sidebar this Monday. Well, that's tomorrow. Yeah, going to be at the Sidebar tomorrow. Okay, cool. I'm going to be on the Sidebar Sunday, God damn it. Going to be at the Sidebar Monday, the day after this thing is posted. Just go to the Sidebar on Monday.
It's called tomorrow.
Yeah, go to the Sidebar tomorrow. On
What's
Monday.
Your Twitter?
My Twitter is Genius Morgan J, all one word just keep typing underscore. I don't remember. My Snapchat is Genius Morgan J. My Facebook is Morgan Julian. And, that's it.
All right, sweet. Ben, where can we find you?
Oh my gosh. I'll be in Wisconsin, La Crosse, Wisconsin, in my wife's basement. That's in Madison Place in La Crosse. Let's see. La Crosse is known for having like the most bars, so if you want to like go pro in drinking with me, let's do that. I don't know if you ever need someone to walk a dog with, or like I don't know what else to plug. So
How close are you to Madison?
Madison's like 2.5 usually.
Okay, never mind.
Everything-
All right.
What?
I know bands in various areas, so I always ask. All right, anyway. Well, that sounds good. What's your Twitter?
My Twitter? I sound so old.
What's
Ben
his Twitter?
23. I just put my name and then a number.
All right. If you send me your Twitter if I'm not already following you, and then I can tweet it out at you.
Oh, okay.
All right, sweet. I should be following you if I've ever seen your Twitter. If not, then I haven't. All right. Well, I will catch you guys later. Thanks so much for coming on. Hope you had fun, and I will hit you up about future episodes.
Awesome.
All right, see ya.
Yeah,